What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to this special video here on Anfield Agenda, where I sat down with Peterbrough United chairman Darragh MacAnthony, who you may or may not know is also a massive Liverpool fan. We spoke about the transfer window, Jordan Henderson's current situation at the club, and lots of other bits and pieces. I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I enjoyed making it. As always, I look forward to reading your comments. Do drop a like on the video, and of course, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, what are you waiting for? But without any more waffle, enjoy the video. Darragh MacAnthony, I have to say, my man, it's been a while. You've been on with Jack on our
Yes.
channel before. I think you probably
Yeah.
remember. I wasn't
Yeah.
available that day, and I've wanted to get you back on ever since. So it's a pleasure, sir. How are you keeping?
Yeah, really, really good. I've been now in the UK a couple of weeks since I got back from Dubai. I was with the family in Dubai and they've all gone back to the States because they got school starting in a couple of weeks. And then this is kind of my MO. I hang around here till the end of the window, ping backwards and forwards kind of thing. But it's an important kind of 7, 8 weeks, July and August for us. So we've just done pre-season camp at St. George's last week. And yeah, just like I said to you there, I was just signing somebody before we started talking. So if I do see the phone, don't worry, I'll have it on silent. But I think that's pretty much done. So we're just waiting for a medical. So all good.
If you need to take a break to sign a player, I'm not going to take the wrath of your fans, mate, if it doesn't work out. So don't. You can
So
take as many calls as
it's
you
all
want,
good.
sir.
It's all good. It's all good. We've been working on this one for about 10 days. So hopefully coming to fruition now. So yeah, all good, all good, all good.
Now, most people know you as the chairman and owner of Peterborough United, but I know you as Darragh MacAnthony, the Irishman and Liverpool
Yeah,
fan who went out into the
correct.
world and did well. So I'm here today to
Yeah,
pick your brains on the Reds. I hope you don't
yeah.
mind.
No, no, no. Listen, I fucking love the Reds. So absolutely. Sorry for cursing, by the way, but no, absolutely love it.
If there's
So
one thing, Darragh,
hammer
you
away.
don't have to apologise for on my channel, it's cursing. Trust me. We're Irish. It's
Well,
second nature.
I'm obviously doing a bit with Talk Sports, so I'm co-hosting the White Jordan show all next week, and they've offered me a Sunday show. And when I went in
Congrats.
there a couple of months ago, they wanted the producer's a great guy. He's like, "Be yourself," and I'm like, "Oh, great! Can I curse on air?" He goes, "Fuck no." He's had this is in the production meeting before. He's like, "We have like a 10-second thing where we can get in there and kill it before you say anything. So just be careful." It was like a team and I'm looking through the windows. I'm talking, thinking I'll say something stupid in a minute. You know what I mean? You got to be careful what your P's and Q's.
You've been over in the States quite a bit. And as you know, us Irish people swear for compliments, for any occasion we have a swear word.
Correct.
There's certain words, if we say them in the States, that get a few glances. How have you
Yeah,
found
they're a
that
bit sensitive.
difference?
Well, my kids now are like, listen, they're all Irish, but they were born in Spain, but they've all got Irish passports. But they've lived in America now for 14 years. So they're Yanks. My kids are Yanks. I call them Yanks. Do you know what I mean? And my daughter likes to wind me up because I'm very Irish, very patriotic. That she was playing volleyball at school, high school, college level. And I said, you could represent Ireland, volleyball. She goes, represent Ireland? No, well, it'd be better to represent England, wouldn't it? With mom's passport. And I'm like, go away out at you shite. Like, no, you're not pulling a Grealish or a Rice. All right, you're not changing. We're not losing you. If you're a good athlete, you're playing for the Irish flag. End of argument. So, but no, we've lived there now, long time. We're used to, and to be fair, there's a lot of expatriates where we live. We live in a nice area in Windermere, Florida. I live in a development where Joe Lewis, who owns Spurs, it's his development, Golf and Country Club. It's where Harry Kane was hiding out last year. And a lot of people in there are from all over the world, like not just Europe, they're all over the world, so very multicultural, same in my kids' school. So, I don't think half of them understand me when I speak or when I curse. If I get angry, I curse a lot. So by then they definitely don't understand me. So yeah.
I've got two kids myself, and I've always said to them, look, kids, I don't care if you're gay, straight, if you commit crime, whatever
Yeah.
you do, just don't tell me you're a mank. If you come back to me and tell me you're going to support United, you're disowned.
I was going to say everything's fine, bar the crime bit. I was going to say, but yeah, you're absolutely correct. As long as you live, like my daughter loves young footballers now. She's like 16, so she's like, "Can you get me?" I got her Jack Grealish. I know Grealish's agent, so he sent a video from Jack Grealish, Bellingham. Player. I'm like, you need to pick some Scousers. You need to pick some Liverpool players. And because she's like, she loves the Chelsea team. She loves this team. I'm like, no, 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 no. Listen, in our house, it's Liverpool. It's no one else. That's it.
Darragh, I've had heated arguments with my wife trying to convince her that Darwin Núñez is a good looking man. And she's trying to tell me he isn't. That's the level I try to support the boys.
To be fair, he is a good looking fella, but my wife doesn't think he's great looking either. I think he's a good-looking fella. And I can happily say anytime that's a good-looking man. That's an ugly fucker. I think Darren's a good-looking fella. Now, if that can help him score a few more goals and hit a few, less barn doors and more goals, happy days.
I suppose we should move on to talk about the boys. And look, there's only one place we're starting this conversation, and that's with the captain, Jordan Henderson. Now, like myself, you're a man who's not backwards and coming forward. So give me your take on the Jordan Henderson situation.
Delighted for him. Delighted for him. He's what is he, 33? Let's be honest. He's probably got a year left. He'd probably play 30 out of 60 games. We could see him diminishing a little bit last season when they were struggling in midfield. He was subbed. He wasn't in the team. He's getting to the age now where you got to start looking after your family. And I know footballers, who don't go into coaching, don't go into management. What do they do? Now, people argue, well, Jordan's earned a lot of money. I've heard it all. I've heard it in Sky. I've heard it everywhere. I've heard the criticism. But let's get real. 99% of people would take the money. I don't care where it is. If somebody offered me, 200 million, 300 million to move to the other side of the earth in the worst conditions for 2 years, I'd probably take the money. I don't know about yourself. Fair play if you wouldn't, and your principle and all of that. But I have a saying in life, money talks and bullshit walks. And everyone, there's a price for everything in life. Unfortunately, that's just the modern world. It's the way it goes. He's gonna cop a lot of flack because he's been that captain who's been very outspoken, who's helped with pride and the rainbow laces. And when the NHS needed a step up during COVID, he was very much at the forefront for Premier League captains. He's very well respected, so he's going to take bullets for what he's done. But I presume him and his family spoke about it, and he's done what's right for him and his family. So, and I know what your argument's going to be. Well, he's on 200 grand a week. Why would you go somewhere for 350 or 400 grand a week? Because that's that. Give it back to me.
I think he's a disgrace, Darragh. I won't lie to you, mate. I think if you take the compliments, the PR, the money, the adulation of the media for being one thing, and then as soon as a pound note comes along and Steven Gerrard comes calling you run, I can't lie to you. I feel awfully disappointed. I get the money side of it, but this isn't me or you talking about paying for the ESB bill or worrying about paying the rent. This is a man who's going to make 20 million in the next 2 years at Liverpool. Is already a multi-millionaire.
He's not going to make 20 million.
Well, his salary is around 20 million minus taxes and stuff. So he'll make 12 million. Let's say 12.
Right. So you live in the UK or whatever else, they take half of your dough. So he's not going to make 20 million. Now, you're going to say, well, 12 million is more than enough to live for the rest of your life. He's doing a deal where it's generational. That money will be generational for his family, the legacy for his family. It won't be just his children, it'll be their children. He has that opportunity to make a generational amount of money. It's what lots of these players are doing.
Darragh? What if one of his kids comes out as gay?
Do you know what? I'm sure he's had that conversation with his wife. I'm sure they've spoken about that. His children will be with him there, I presume. I don't know about his children. I don't know where they're educated. I get the arguments. I said it at the time about Qatar. When everybody was going on and writing articles and going crazy about Qatar, I said, yeah, but they're all still going to go. If you're really principled about it, whether you're a journalist, whether you're in the media, whether you're an ex-footballer doing commentary, if you're that principled about it and you really have that belief, don't take the money and don't go. I understand that too. I get everyone's principles and beliefs. And I understand your argument. If one of his children is gay, how could he take the money and move? That's the discussion for him and his family. Who am I to judge Jordan Henderson? At the end of the day, he's been probably the best captain of Liverpool in my period. I started supporting Liverpool when I was, 10, 11. So you could go back and it was like, who were the captains back then? Alan Hansen, great captain, whatever else. But Jordan Henderson in my adult life has probably been, and I know everyone will say Stevie G, but he didn't deliver the title. It would be Jordan Henderson as a captain. I think he's been a phenomenal captain for Liverpool. So my opinion is he's doing what's right, what he feels is right for his family. That's not a popular opinion. I understand all the arguments. I understand why you're disgusted by it. And everyone's entitled to that opinion as well. Because opinions are like arseholes. Everyone has one. So I get all the sides.
Now, let me say, this is why I wanted to speak with you, because I appreciate dialogue. I appreciate the back and forth. And if we are to come to any consensus in life, we need this. We need these conversations. And that's why I appreciate people like yourself who are willing to give their version of it. Now, there's one part of this I think we'll agree on, Darragh. And that's the fact. It's incredibly sad to see the way Jordan Henderson will leave. No fanfare, no lap of honour around Anfield. You know, the
Right.
stuff that his tenure at the club deserves.
Correct. I couldn't agree more. Like, for what he's done for the club, for what a player he's been, particularly after the start he had, you know, where he was nearly bombed out to Fulham, you know, where, let's be honest, a lot of fans, I don't know about your thought, were digging him out. We're you know, having a go at him. And to overcome all of that, to become that captain, to become the leader, to win the trophies, to be that iconic skipper of Klopp during his reign, to not get a goodbye at Anfield. That is I agree with you 100% on that side of things, you know, and he's going to have to live, but I'm presuming he's going to live by that decision, you know. And you got to, in life, you have to live and die by your decisions, you know, and regardless what, your decisions can't be determined by what other people think of you. They can't be determined about what the criticisms that are leveled at you. Sometimes you're going to make decisions people aren't going to like in life, and you're going to take a lot of flack for it. And I've done it myself in time. And I've done things where people have gone, even people in my inner circle and my family have gone, "What are you doing?" But I felt they were the right thing to do. And I've always said, you got to live and die by the sword. And that's the same with decisions in business and life and whatever else. So he's going to do that. He's going to go and take the money. Listen, if it were me personally, I'd go out, I'd sign the contract, I'd take the money. And then after 3 months, I'm homesick. I want to go home. You know, so you know, but hey, that's just me. You know, and you know, and that's I'm sure some footballers have done that. What's astonished me more is seeing some of the younger players that have gone out there who you know, because let's be honest, Jordan's not in the prime of his career. I know he looks ripped with his 12 pack and he looks great. I wish I had a body like his at 30, at my age, and mine 33. But he's not in his prime. He's just not. And with the midfield Liverpool are rebuilding, I don't think he's going to play a lot of league games. So, you know, the question is, would he have gone out at 26 or 27? You know, so that might be a question for him. So I'm surprised some of those players have done that.
So what do you make of Fabinho then? Somebody who is, I guess, at the tail end of his peak,
Take the money.
29 years of age.
Take the money.
No, I mean,
Take
from a footballing perspective, obviously, you know, some of these South American guys, African guys, they come from levels of poverty that I won't understand and that you might not understand. And they support a big, large group of people. So I get that. But from the footballing perspective, I've seen a lot of criticism from Fabinho's home countrymen and women to say that he's 29. This move probably would have been there for him in a couple of years as well.
The way he played at the start of last season, he looked 39 at times. I was, you know, and I know he got better later on in the season, but I think from a club perspective, take the money. If the money allows us to go out and get another couple of young central midfielders as we rebuild, I'm excited by that. From his perspective, at 29, Brazilian international, going out there, I am a little bit like the money would have to be substantial. Like, it would have to be, you know, because Fabinho's got to be on 250 a week or whatever at Liverpool, or 200 grand a week. So, and I'm not sure they're paying him that, are they, to go out there? I don't know the details of the deal, but I agree with that one at 29, which should be, for his position, the prime of his career. You know, next 2-3 years should be the prime of his career for what, number 6. You know, so I am surprised by that one. That is interesting. I'm also surprised that Liverpool haven't got more from him. Because again, it's somebody coming to peak of their powers in that position. I think they paid 35, 40 million for him. You know, you think you'd maybe get 50 from him.
I think I'm actually all right with the number on this one. 40, I agree with you. Last year, he looked like he was running through sticky toffee pudding at some time.
He had a bus on his back. He was trolling sometimes. You looked at him and you were like, my God, over one summer, he looks like he's aged 10 years. I couldn't believe it. And I love Fabinho. So it was great to see him. I don't know if he had an injury, if he had issues, whatever was going on. But look, is what it is. Look, things are changing. I'm excited by the shake-up. You know, I think we've needed the shake-up. Like Klopp's, I always said the last 2 years, the only reason Liverpool have succeeded is because of Klopp. Even when they're running on empty, it's because of Klopp. Last year to get 5th because of Klopp, with all the different things going on, the strikers, the injuries, the issues in midfield. I'm a firm believer that he's had that first cycle and it's now time for the next exciting cycle. And whilst I don't think we're going to push Man City, you know, to 103, 104 points and get pipped again or get close, I think we'll be a lot closer than people think. And then by the following year, we'll be an absolute machine ready to go. Because I am reinvigorated by what's happening in midfield and what's coming.
Absolutely. I mean, I sat there and watched the game yesterday, and you know what? We'll talk about Dominic Szoboszlai, but for me, Alexis McAllister is such a tidy footballer. That space that he's able to find between the lines, it's very David Silva-esque. I'm going to call him our Luka Modric. That's what I think he's going to do for us.
I like that. I like that comparison. That's actually a comparison. He looks like a player who could actually play till he's 37 as well, like Modric. You know, he's got, I don't know, it's because he hasn't been burnt out and he hasn't played loads of games. Was he 24 now, 25? I mean, he is unbelievable signing. When you see some of the figures thrown around and whatever else, he could be the signing of the summer. I know Rice is a great player. He's gone to Arsenal. I honestly think that one, I'm amazed Man City didn't try and get that deal done because they can buy anyone they want, particularly what's going on in their midfield and the changes going on there. But no, I'm delighted with both him and the other young boy. I'm not even going to try and say his name, by the way. We need to come up with a nickname for him. But they are
I Google translated that one. I won't lie to you. It's
two
so
tremendous additions. No, as we rebuild that midfield, well, what we've already got with, you know, I'm a Curtis Jones fan. Young Harvey's got a bit more to push me. I love, how do we pronounce it? Bjetovic, who got injured at the end of last season. I loved what he was doing when he was.
I think it's Bajcetic.
Bajcetic. I love him as a kid. I'm excited what we got in there. Curtis Jones, when he was fit and he was getting a run of games. I mean, if he was playing for any other club, he'd be like a young English player worth X amount of money. You know, I'm delighted we never signed Mount, and I'm delighted with the business we've done. And I'm really happy that if we do move on Henderson and Fabinho, we get the Southampton boy and one more, I think it'll rejuvenate everything about that squad. Particularly because of the surgery we did on the front line last summer. You know, we've got some unbelievable talent up front. You know, we've got, 5 players who can play in any of the 3 positions. You've got Gakpo who can drop back into midfield. We've got variety up there. I'd like a centre-back. I love Konate. Verge obviously is not the best of year. Konate doesn't unfortunately play 45, 50 games a season. He's just that type of player who always picks up injuries. You'd probably like one more centre-half in there. Or if they're going to push Trent into midfield, get a right-back.
On the centre-back situation, it looks like Klopp's an admirer of Colwill, but who isn't an admirer of Colwill, to be honest? He's an exceptional player.
Never going to happen. Forget it. I can't believe that's going to happen. If Chelsea sold him to us, I'd eat my Mickey. It'd be the longest snack you've ever seen. Beg your pardon. And it's just never going to happen.
So who would you suggest if you were in Klopp's shoes right now? Now, I know you're quite vocal about one of your own guys that you're surprised people aren't looking at, but if you were Klopp and you needed that Verge cover on the left side, where would you be looking?
You see, left-sided centre-halves are a premium, particularly who are like natural left footers, and they're so difficult. You know, picking out good centre-halves. You see so many. I like the Dutch boy Arsenal signed. I'm surprised we weren't at the party. I love the boy coming into Man City, but we're never going to spend 100 million. I would say if you can't get the right one, tranquilo, and go with what you've got. You've got Matip, you've got Gomez, you've got them at the moment. Wait for the right one, like we waited for Van Dijk last time. You know, we signed him. What was it, in the January? We signed him. We weren't in a position to get the deal done. We signed him. I would just wait on it, in my personal opinion. I think we can get by the first half of the season, reload up in January, and sign one then. You know, I can name you 5, 6 young under 23s out there in Europe, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure the finances are there for that position at the moment. Are you?
I'm never sure with FSG, Darragh. I'm never sure. Like, I'm somebody who's tried to be fair with them. I see the good, I see the bad, I see the business decisions, but I don't see the desire to win.
Yeah,
I don't see it. And you know, you're a chairman that's active. You're at your team's games. You're there and you're around the club. Sure. I miss that. I wish we had that with owners at Liverpool.
Yeah, Moores was probably the last person who was really kind of like you'd see him every Saturday in the director's box, but it's not for everybody, you know, having a chairman who's maybe in the public eye too much, and my fans would probably moan about me for that maybe at times. But I've been critical of them, but at the same time, I've also defended them as well, that they've rebuilt the stadium. You know, they've really put that stadium now in the top 5 stadiums in the Premier League, even though we didn't get a brand new one like Everton have got, or Tottenham have, you know, had a couple of years ago. I'd love them to have supported them in times when there were injuries and they needed, instead of going out and getting a couple of loans and doing things like that. You know, but it's testament to Klopp that what I love about him, he's never once moaned about them, ever. You find me a manager at other clubs, even the biggest clubs, even Ferguson back in the day, you know, whatever else, would nod towards the boardroom if something wasn't going to plan or whatever else, and lots of them do. And he has been a model professional from that perspective. He is a club man. Even if Rome is falling and he's losing every player and he's not getting to sign players, he grins and bears it and gets on with it, right? And that's why I have so much respect for the job he did last year, after the highs of nearly having the quadruple and coming within a couple of games. And obviously they were all burnt out after playing 55, 60 games and the euphoria and then coming down. And the way he handled it, and he changed his tactics, which again, the box three, the little things he's done with Trent, because Trent was under so much pressure publicly. He's just an unbelievable manager. That would be my biggest concern, is losing him in the next 3 years.
Well, one of my questions was going to be, how would you handle Jurgen Klopp if you were his chairman?
I'd love him. I'd love him. Honestly, the one thing I'll give them, the owners, is they've handled him brilliantly. They've given him what he's needed from a staff perspective. They looked after his staff. They've looked after him. I think that's always really important to him as staff. And, my current manager, when he came back in the summer, it was forget about the players. I'm going to work to the program and do whatever. My staff, I want to look after my staff. I want to make sure they're good. We have the right staff. We have the right support. They've given him an unbelievable state-of-the-art training ground. They've obviously redone Anfield, and yes, that's for commercial and financial benefit, whatever else. And they loan the money and they get the money back. But how would I handle Jurgen Klopp? I'd love to handle Jurgen. I'd love to have a few beers with Jurgen Klopp. He's that type of guy. He's just, we wouldn't agree politically per se, or on lots of things in life, but it wouldn't stop me from having a good few drinks and getting on with him. Because at the end of the day, I just think he's somebody who's quite inspirational. I think he draws people to him. I think people enjoy his energy. In life you meet energy stealers, and then you meet people who's like you could just soak the energy, and you want some of that energy. And I think he's one of those people. So, and obviously people go back on my tweets from probably 7 years ago when he first came, I probably moaned, about him coming in, whatever else. But because I was a Brendan Rodgers fan, I thought Brendan did a very good job under trying circumstances. But yeah, he's just for me one of the best managers of all time in our history, and we've had a few.
I still look at pictures of Klopp now and think, wow, he's our manager. He's actually Liverpool Football Club's manager. Yeah. I didn't think I'd feel that. Like, I loved Rafa, and Rafa was certainly one for calling out the owners, like you mentioned earlier on. But
still does.
One final thing I wanted to ask you before we finish up, and I appreciate your time. Dublin, Europa League final next year. If there's any commiseration,
I'll be there.
For not being in the Champions League, it's winning in Dublin, right?
If we're there and we get there, and I'd like to think with the squad we now have and everything else, and we've got the taste for trophies, and last year was horrible, not being involved in a final or winning it, I will be there. I'm sure you'll be there. I don't care if I have to pay 10 grand to a tout. I'm going to be there. So absolutely, bang on.
Can you imagine it? Can you imagine the buzz in the city of Dublin? I mean, people in England think they understand, but they don't. Like, it's Liverpool United over here. That's it. It's the two of them.
I was explaining to my kids the other day. I was trying to explain to my daughter the other day. I was like, there's only 2 clubs in Ireland. You go down the street and you pick 10 people who are football fans, and you're going to get 5, 6 United, 5, 6 Liverpool. That's just the way it's always been. And it was just by luck. It wasn't about my family. I saw Liverpool on the TV when I was 10 in an FA Cup final. And that's why I started supporting them. It wasn't about somebody, because my family were rugby. I played rugby. You know what I mean? And it was never really, and the whole private school thing. And it was, it's like in Ireland with rugby versus football and what it was like, say, 30 years ago. And I just became obsessed with Liverpool, obsessed with like statistics on football and watching when I could. And in those days, you were lucky to get games on TV. Now in America, there isn't a game I don't get to see. In America, I could see every one of Liverpool's games for the full season. It's only when I get to the UK and they say they're playing at a time on a Sunday that's not on Sky or BT, I have to use my VPN to track into my Peacock in America where I get all the games. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, so even when I'm away in other sides of the world, I watch the games. And it's kind of like, it's an addiction, isn't it?
It is, and that's a lovely story. It's very similar to my own. I've now brothers, sisters. I'm an only child. My dad was really into football. Would you believe it was a 2-0 loss to Arsenal for the first division title at Anfield that got me supporting Liverpool? I know that sounds crazy.
I watched that game in my parents' bedroom with a clothes hanger in the TV. I remember watching that game. And Michael Thomas, and obviously we signed him, didn't we? Afterwards, it was like, my God, me and the staff the other day at St. George were talking about weird things that have happened in football and the impossible things that have happened. And something happened to us at the end of last season. It wasn't great as a club. So in the playoffs, but what a game to become a fan. If you're ever, that 2-0, like I watched us lose to Wimbledon. You watched us lose to Arsenal. Probably 2 of the, not iconic, but big results in our history that everyone remembers. The John Aldridge missed penalty, the Michael Thomas 94th minute winner. Everyone knows those games.
Darragh, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you giving us some of your time, and I wish you and Peterbrough nothing but the best for the upcoming season, my man.
Appreciate you. Hey, absolutely. Go Posh, go Reds. Let's have a win double. It'll be a perfect season. Please, Lord.